To say that the Star Wars franchise, and especially its accompanying fandom, have become a shitstorm battlefield of epic proportions would be an understatement on the level of saying that World War I was a small debacle in human history. It has gotten insane these past few months, with hundreds of seemingly new videos popping up constantly, analyzing all the intricate ways Star Wars has either been fixed, or 9 times out of 10, how it has been irreversibly destroyed by Kathleen Kennedy, and everything she's ever done is, the complete utter destruction of the franchise, and how Disney has just killed everything that's ever been good ever, which is just really funny when you remember the fact that 10 fucking years ago, these same people who are now calling for George Lucas to come back were the guys who were pretty much telling George to go fuck himself, and probably would have hanged him by the balls before beating him to death while he hung with a pair of metal baseball bats. So if you ever needed more evidence that fandom is a finicky mistress, or rather an obnoxious bitch that needs to shut the hell up once and for all, then look no further than the Star Wars fandom. And that's not to say that people on both camps don't have good points to make. I myself am somewhere in the middle, where I've given more than enough credit to the Disney stuff when it's done something well, and I've also given my more than fair share of criticisms about the franchise. But with regards to Solo, a Star Wars story, I kind of feel bad about that whole video I did about the production issues, because while I raise, I think, at least lots of good points that are still applicable to the movie and are probably a few reasons why the movie is going to be a bomb, an outright bomb, it still feels bad for me to do that because this movie is actually kind of pretty good. I really, really had a good time with this one, and in fact, I would go so far as to say that this is the best Star Wars movie that Disney has made, and probably in the upper tier of the franchise so far. The thing about this film is that I can like it without an asterisk. I don't like The Force Awakens at all. I fundamentally dislike the whole fanboy, nostalgia, pandering bullshit that entire film is constructed around. I like Rogue One, but only the novelization. I like The Last Jedi, even though it's kind of a thematic mess with lots of moving parts, some of which are executed kind of good and others not so much. And so a lot of the times when talking about the Disney Star Wars franchise, it's always with kind of an asterisk. I like this in spite of something else that should bother me more than it does. This is probably one of the few pure things about the franchise that Disney has done that I actually quite enjoy. And honestly, this movie, despite the fact that it is a film that basically replaces a lot of, the classic Han Solo stories from the old expanded universe, it very much captures a lot of that flair from the expanded universe whenever Han Solo shows up. And it is a simple story. It is a simple tale. It's not a story about a ragtag group of people coming together to save the universe. It is a heist movie. The stakes are comparatively low, and the film knows what it is, and it doesn't have any kind of big ambitions. Instead, it focuses on what's in the movie, and it tries to execute that very well. And a couple of the biggest strengths this film has for me are Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo, and funnily enough, the humor. Alden Ehrenreich as Solo, it doesn't do a Harrison Ford impression. And I know a lot of people have done videos about that guy from Loving Adeline who's just doing a Harrison Ford impression, that he should have been Han Solo, because fanboys do not care about quality acting when it comes to casting characters. They only care about people who look kind of like the source material and who can do kind of an impression of the source material. For fuck's sake, I saw a video about Han Solo, about how a dude who can't act would have been better than the actual actor, and he said that Alden Ehrenreich having an acting coach maybe show up is a bad sign, but getting a dude who can't act, getting an acting coach is good just because the non-actor is doing a good Harrison Ford impression. Because Jesus fuck, I hate fanboy logic and nerddom. But going back to the actual review, Alden Ehrenreich is not doing a Ford impression, and I really, really like that, because contextually it does not make sense for him to be that guy, and the movie perfectly characterizes who Han Solo is. Because Han Solo is not cool. Han Solo is a moron who knows a few things really well and has a lot of luck on his side and knows how to portray himself as being cooler and more competent than he really is. When in actuality, if you actually go back and just watch just the films, ignore all the comics, all that other stuff, if you just watch the films, you'll realize the only reason Han isn't dead within 5 minutes of his first appearance is the fact that he has ridiculous luck on his side and not because he's cool or because he's competent. And I was really worried that they were going to glorify Han Solo, but they don't do that. This Han is even younger, he's even more inexperienced, he's kind of got a romanticized view of being an outlaw, and you can tell that he doesn't really know how things work, and this whole film is about him steadily maturing, becoming the dude who can, you know, come up with these really kind of intricate gambits to screw over his enemies, and throughout the whole movie, that luck really is the reason why Han just doesn't die within the first 10 minutes. And I really like that. I really like the fact that this dude starts in one place and then he naturally evolves thanks to the people around him, giving him different lessons, teaching him how the universe works. And by the end of the movie, you can see the beginnings of Han Solo. You can see that this dude is transforming into the guy you meet in the Mos Eisley Cantina in A New Hope. And I'm so happy that's that, because what the fuck is the point of doing a film where Han Solo is not an experienced smuggler or pilot, or he doesn't really get how the world around him works, if he's just gonna act the same way as the 30-year-old version of himself with like a decade of life experience? It makes no sense, and I like that the movie does that. And Alden Ehrenreich really, really sells the performance. His interactions with Chewbacca are excellent. Even Alden Ehrenreich and Emilia Clarke have really good chemistry with one another, and they really portray that doomed romance very well. And every second this guy was on screen, I thought to myself, holy shit, this is the young Han Solo we see in the A.C. Crispin novels from the old expanded universe, because they just got what made that stuff good, and they brought it into the form of a film. The second big strength of the film is, of course, the humor. Now, I have on many occasions talked about modern comedy where they're afraid of other people making fun of them. So you have lots and lots of scenes in films or entire movies built around this premise where we're gonna break the whole illusion that this is a world of its own. We're gonna have everyone suddenly become aware that they're in a film, and we're gonna poke fun at ourselves so someone else doesn't do that. And that's kind of become the standard for a lot of comedy, and especially in a lot of blockbusters nowadays. And I was really worried they were going to do that, because even The Last Jedi has those Marvel Studios-esque moments where they literally stop everything dead just so that we can get a subversive, quote-unquote, Joss Whedon snark comment or something in there. And this movie doesn't do that. All of the humor in here feels so natural. It feels earned. It makes sense for the characters. It's stuff real people would do in these situations. There's no point where I felt like the entire movie just dropped dead, broke the whole illusion that a good film is supposed to make, so that Alden Ehrenreich can almost basically wink at the camera and say, ha ha, look at this, ha ha, this is a movie, ha ha, isn't that fucking stupid? They don't do that, and I'm so thankful. And because Han Solo is a screw-up in this film, some of the funniest stuff that happens is because of him just spectacularly failing at so many things. Like, this is a movie I would not spoil to people just because I want them to experience all the cool and inventive ways they have Han Solo fail at. And the rest of the supporting cast are no less great. Donald Glover doesn't have much to do as Lando Calrissian, but that's because Lando is already kind of a world-weary guy, and the movie's not about him growing up. And so, because he's doing kind of like a Billy D impersonation, it actually makes sense in the movie. It's not like they decided, okay, this guy's not going to be Harrison Ford because reasons, and then Glover's going to do Billy D. Williams. The context of the film is that Lando has been at this for a few years, and it makes sense that he's already kind of become a more fully realized person, whereas Han is only getting there throughout the events of the film. And Donald Glover, while he does have limited screen time, he oozes charisma, and he has great, once again, chemistry with Alden Ehrenreich, and I would kill to see these guys come back for another movie just based on their interactions. Emilia Clarke, an actress I typically cannot stand because she just has a certain way of, you know, emoting and pronouncing things that just makes me want to deck her in the face. But she's great in this. She perfectly portrays, like I said, the doomed romance angle between herself and Han Solo. She portrays Kira as a very kind of amicable antagonist, but also a person who is very distinctly, on a fundamental level, different from Han Solo. And by the end of the movie, she basically becomes one of the most interesting characters in the whole piece. Woody Harrelson is great once again. He doesn't do anything profoundly different or innovative than he's done before, but what he does do here is in great service to Alden Ehrenreich's and Han Solo's character arcs throughout the entire piece. Hell, the fact that this movie is a better ensemble piece than Rogue One speaks volumes, because there are characters in this flick who have significantly less screen time than almost anyone in Rogue One, and when they bite the dust, I gave considerably more of a fuck here than I ever did for almost anyone in Rogue One. Seriously, the random alien dudes in this movie who are in it for like 5 minutes are 10 times more memorable, charismatic, and feel more like real people than the boring dregs of the main cast from Rogue One. And also, Ron Howard is an old school director. He's a dude who doesn't really do like the modern stuff a lot of the times, and that's very obvious from the way he like frames shots, from the way he composes images, from the way he sets things up. All of this movie feels very, very old school, and like I already mentioned with the comedy also feels like something that would have been done in a film from like 10, 15, 20 years ago. And kind of like with Wonder Woman, there's that old movie magic that I miss where, like I said, the movie knows it's kind of cheesy, it knows it's not innovative, it's not breaking new ground, but there's a charm to it. There's a charm to everything that's going on, and the way the movie is shot and the way it's presented, how the story unfolds, that gives it some kind of special earnestness, an earnestness that is missing so very often in lots and lots of modern movies that are worried about coming off as kind of cheesy or dumb, and Han Solo is not that kind of movie. And so, just on that basis alone, I really, really appreciate this film the same way I appreciated Wonder Woman last year, despite the fact that both films are not technically astounding by any stretch of the imagination. They have that old movie spark that makes you go, damn, I wish we could get more stuff like this and move away from the whole stupid tongue-in-cheek bullshit that the Marvel movies have engineered us to expect is the norm of filmmaking nowadays. And it's a really big shame that this movie is going to be a bomb, because on a budget of $250 million, not counting marketing, it has only made $260 million so far, and people are very skeptical about the idea of it making even $400 million worldwide. That would make it an even bigger box office bomb than Justice League was, a movie that had a similarly very troubled, very publicly troubled production cycle, but still at least managed to make some decent money thanks to international markets. Whereas Han Solo is just gonna crash and burn, and that's really sad, because I feel like this is kind of the technically most sound Star Wars Disney movie we've gotten. It captures that old Han Solo trilogy magic from the old expanded universe. It even manages to have lots and lots of references to the bigger Star Wars universe without 99% of them feeling forced in. Like, when they mention Aura Singh, in any other of the Star Wars movies, that would have been just like the most cringe moment of all time. But when someone like that is name dropped in this movie, it all feels natural. It feels like part of the world. It's just something that we talk about, and the entire movie doesn't stop dead to say, hey guys, we mentioned this character from the expanded universe. Isn't that exciting and cool? Have I nudged you enough times so that you can get how cool and awesome we are, guys? Which was a big problem with all of Force Awakens and even kind of Last Jedi and Rogue One also to a point. So yeah, the Star Wars movie from Disney that's actually good and is actually like fixing a lot of the things that I feel like a lot of people have an issue with the other Disney Star Wars movies is going to be the one that's going to bomb, and it's also the one that people are celebrating is going to fail. So yeah, if you need any more justification for why there is no justice in the world, look no further than this sad situation. But if you're one of those people who does not give a shit about the controversies and you just want to watch a really, really fun movie that's going to entertain you probably quite a bit more than a lot of the stuff that's going to be coming in the next few months, this is more than a really good time. And if you're someone who's not really a big Star Wars guy, I still feel like this is going to be one of those movies that's going to remind you why you even ever bothered to watch even the original trilogy and even bothered to follow up on the franchise, period. So yeah, Solo, a Star Wars story. Really damn good, really great fun, executes all of its moving parts almost flawlessly, and it's a damn shame it did not get more recognition, and the fact that it's going to be a failure, more or less. So, have you seen this movie? Please comment down below, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye.